Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. This time we're going all in on the Book of Enoch.
That's right. We're going to be looking at some really wild stuff, angels, giants, and even apocalyptic visions.
It's definitely not your typical Sunday school material.
No, not at all. We're working with excerpts translated from Ethiopic by Reverend George H. Shode, published back in 1882.
So we're talking about a text with a long history and a lot of layers to unpack.
Absolutely. It gives us this incredible glimpse into ancient Jewish beliefs about the world,
Yeah.
especially their ideas about angels and sin and judgment and even, the coming of a Messiah.
Now, most people are at least vaguely familiar with the flood story from the Bible,
Right.
but the Book of Enoch really expands on that whole narrative in some pretty surprising ways.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, did you know that there's a whole section dedicated to those sons of God mentioned in Genesis?
Oh, yeah, the ones who took daughters of men as wives.
Exactly. The Book of Enoch calls these beings watchers.
And it doesn't just mention them in passing either.
No, it really dives into who they are and what they did.
It describes them as angels who descended to Mount Hermon, led by this figure named Semjasa.
And their transgression it goes beyond just marrying human women, right?
Right. It was much more than that.
So they were up to more than just fraternizing, as they say.
That's putting it mildly. The Book of Enoch actually claims that these watchers revealed all kinds of forbidden knowledge to humankind.
Forbidden knowledge. Okay, like what?
Charms, incantations, eternal secrets, things that were supposed to remain hidden.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack right there. This whole idea of forbidden knowledge, it's really fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
So what do you think was the real danger here, according to Enoch?
Well, that's a great question.
Was it just about people learning things they weren't supposed to know?
I think it goes deeper than that. I mean, Enoch seems to be saying that this knowledge actually corrupted humanity.
Corrupted them.
Yeah, it led them astray from God's path.
So it wasn't just about disobedience, it was about the potential consequences of that knowledge.
Exactly. Think about it. Like, why is certain knowledge considered forbidden in the first place? Is it purely about obedience, or is there something inherently dangerous about certain kinds of knowledge, especially when it's misused?
That's a really interesting point. It makes you wonder if there are parallels to our own time. Like we're constantly seeking knowledge, pushing boundaries with technology and science.
Right.
Is there a point where we could be crossing a line? I mean, are there things we're not meant to know?
It definitely makes you think. And
Yeah.
that's part of what makes the Book of Enoch so compelling.
Yeah.
It raises these timeless questions about human nature and the pursuit of knowledge and the consequences of our choices.
Okay, so where does Enoch himself fit into all of this? He's not just some random guy writing down angel gossip.
No, not at all. He's portrayed as this righteous man chosen by God to deliver messages to those rebellious watchers
Okay.
and to witness some pretty incredible divine mysteries firsthand.
I mean, the text describes him ascending to heaven, guided by angels, and having these mind-blowing visions.
Oh, yeah, you see some wild stuff.
Visions of heavenly realms and the coming judgment.
It's pretty intense.
He even sees the abyss, columns of heavenly fire, and the treasuries of natural forces like thunder and lightning.
It's like he's given this cosmic tour of all creation.
Yeah, and along the way, he meets some pretty important angels, too.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Like Uriel, who oversees the stars and luminaries.
And Raphael, who's all about healing.
Gabriel, who's in charge of serpents and paradise.
And Michael, the protector of the people.
Right. So each of these angels has this specific domain.
Like they each have a particular role to play in the grand scheme of things.
It's almost like Enoch is revealing this divine organizational chart.
Yeah, exactly. It's fascinating how he lays it all out.
Okay, so let's talk about judgment. So what kind of judgment does Enoch foresee for these fallen angels and for all the wickedness spreading on earth?
Well, for the Watchers, it's not good. He describes them being imprisoned in a fiery abyss, tormented for their transgressions.
Wow.
But alongside these pretty harsh punishments, he also introduces this concept of a messianic kingdom, a time of justice, peace, and the reign of a mysterious chosen one.
The chosen one. So is this figure connected to the coming Messiah?
That's where it gets really interesting. Enoch describes this chosen one as a pre-existing divine being hidden before God, who will one day judge both the righteous and the wicked.
So a powerful figure.
Oh yeah, he will essentially bring about a transformation of heaven and earth, establishing an eternal kingdom of righteousness.
So even amidst all this talk of judgment and punishment, there's this glimmer of hope for a future where good triumphs over evil.
Absolutely. And this chosen one figure is a crucial part of that hope.
Now, it's not just Enoch's account we're dealing with here. There are also sections attributed to Noah, his great-grandson, right?
You're right. Those Noachic sections add another layer to the story. They provide more details about the flood and the fate of those rebellious angels.
Like how they're bound in a flaming valley while the earth is devoured in a great abyss.
Yeah, it's pretty dramatic stuff.
Definitely. So it sounds like both Enoch and Noah were grappling with these really big questions about sin judgment and the consequences of going against the divine order.
For sure. And it speaks to how powerful these themes were, that they resonated across generations.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll dive even deeper into the Book of Enoch. Stay with us.
All right, welcome back. So we're deep in the Book of Enoch, and one of the things that's really struck me is how much it dives into the cosmos.
Yeah, there's this whole section where Enoch lays out this incredibly detailed cosmic calendar.
It's really amazing. He meticulously maps out like the movements of the sun and the moon.
He describes their paths, the portals they rise and set through, and how those movements affect the length of days and nights throughout the year.
He even breaks down the lunar month into its different phases and how the moon's light waxes and wanes.
It's really a testament to the ancient world's fascination with the heavens and their attempt to understand these cycles.
Makes you wonder what prompted such meticulous observation. Well, remember, Enoch saw himself as a scribe of justice,
Right.
tasked with revealing God's truth. So perhaps by understanding the intricate workings of the cosmos, he believed he could gain a deeper understanding of the divine order itself.
So it's not just astronomy for astronomy's sake. It's connected to a deeper spiritual purpose.
Exactly. And it's not just about describing the movements, either.
Mhm.
Enoch goes on to outline a solar year of 364 days divided into 4 seasons with specific months and even intercalary days.
Wow, so he's really creating this comprehensive system.
Yeah, it points to a sophisticated understanding of astronomical cycles even back then.
It's almost like he's presenting a blueprint for how time should be measured and structured according to a divine plan.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. Enoch connects these celestial movements to the actions of angels.
Angels.
Yeah, he describes these leaders of the stars, angels, who are responsible for guiding the celestial bodies along their designated paths.
So it's not just physics at play here, but a whole spiritual hierarchy overseeing the fabric of time and space.
Right. It blurs the lines between the physical and the spiritual. And it raises some questions like, if angels are guiding the stars, what happens when things go wrong? Are famines, droughts, other natural disasters, are they a result of angelic negligence? Or maybe even a deliberate act of divine judgment?
Yeah, good point. It's interesting because Enoch does seem to suggest that during times of great wickedness, years will be shortened, seasons will become unpredictable, and rain will be withheld.
It's like the cosmos itself is reacting to human sin.
Wow, that's a powerful image.
Yeah, it makes you think twice about the choices we make.
Especially when you consider the vivid descriptions Enoch gives about the fate of the wicked.
He doesn't hold back, does he? He describes fiery pits, chains, torment by demons, utter destruction.
It's a stark portrayal of what awaits those who reject God's ways.
And it's not just physical torment, either. Enoch emphasizes their spiritual anguish, their regret, their shame, the despair of being eternally separated from God.
So you're saying that spiritual punishment might be even worse than the physical?
It's something to think about. And perhaps that's exactly what Enoch intended to evoke, this visceral response in his readers, to make them really confront the gravity of their choices.
But he's not just trying to scare people, though, right? There's also this strong theme of hope running through the Book of Enoch, especially in his descriptions of the elect.
Yeah, those who remain faithful to God amidst all the wickedness and chaos.
So who are these elect and what role do they play?
They represent this beacon of hope. They embody righteousness, justice, and unwavering faith.
So they're not just passively waiting for a better world.
No, not at all. Enoch describes them as warriors for God.
Warriors.
Yeah, wielding prayer and righteousness as their weapons against the forces of evil.
Okay, so they're actively resisting.
They stand firm against temptation. They endure persecution. They hold fast to their convictions. It's like a spiritual resistance movement fighting for the soul of humanity.
And they're not alone in this fight, are they?
No. Enoch emphasizes that God is on their side, supporting them and ultimately vindicating them in the final judgment.
And their faithfulness is rewarded, right?
Oh, yeah. They inherit a transformed world, a paradise where goodness reigns supreme.
What does that look like?
Enoch describes it as this realm of peace and abundance, where they dwell in harmony with God and each other, free from the burdens of sin and suffering.
That's a powerful image of hope.
It transcends the darkness and offers a glimpse into the ultimate triumph of good over evil.
Yeah, and it makes me think of those powerful images in the animal apocalypse section with the sheep representing the righteous and those wolves and predators symbolizing evil.
Ah, yes, that's a fascinating section. Remember how it ultimately culminates in a righteous shepherd, this powerful ram with large horns who protects the sheep and establishes a just order?
Right.
It's a clear prefiguration of the Messiah, the one who will ultimately guide God's people to salvation.
So Enoch is weaving together history, prophecy, and symbolic language to paint a picture of a future where righteousness prevails.
And that's part of what makes this text so compelling. Even when he's describing terrifying judgments, there's always this undercurrent of hope, a promise of a better world to come.
And that hope seems to be tied to knowledge and understanding. I mean, Enoch is constantly seeking knowledge through visions, conversations with angels, studying ancient texts, and he emphasizes its importance for living a righteous life.
He believes that understanding God's laws, the workings of the cosmos, the nature of good and evil, that it's all crucial for making righteous choices and aligning oneself with the divine will.
And he shares what he learns with his children and anyone who will listen.
Yeah, he sees himself as a teacher, a guide responsible for illuminating the path to righteousness for others.
It's interesting how this emphasis on knowledge and understanding also resonates with other Jewish and Christian traditions as well.
Right, the pursuit of wisdom, studying scripture, contemplating divine mysteries are all central to these faiths.
It makes you wonder, is knowledge itself a path to enlightenment, a way of drawing closer to God?
It's a thought-provoking question, and it ties into this idea of hidden wisdom, the belief that there are deeper truths embedded within the world and within sacred texts, truths that require careful study and contemplation to unlock.
It's like a spiritual treasure hunt where the reward is a deeper understanding of the divine and our place within the cosmic order.
And the Book of Enoch definitely feels like a glimpse into that hidden wisdom, offering insights into angelic realms, the nature of judgment, and the mysteries of creation.
But as we've discussed, knowledge comes with responsibility.
Right.
I mean, Enoch warns about the misuse of knowledge, the dangers of forbidden knowledge used for selfish gain, manipulation, or harm.
Think about those fallen angels. They represent a cautionary tale, a reminder that knowledge without virtue can be disastrous.
It's a lesson that's still relevant today, especially in our age of information overload.
Right, we have access to vast amounts of information, but how do we use it ethically? How do we discern truth from falsehood? How do we ensure that our pursuit of knowledge leads us toward righteousness rather than destruction?
Those are questions we all need to grapple with.
Definitely. And perhaps the Book of Enoch can offer some guidance, reminding us of the potential consequences of both embracing and abusing the power of knowledge.
So as we move into the final part of this deep dive, let's keep that in mind. This text is more than just stories and prophecies. It's an invitation to engage with these profound questions about good and evil justice, the power of knowledge, and our ultimate destiny. All right, so we're back, and we've covered a lot of ground in the Book of Enoch.
We have from fallen angels to cosmic calendars to the coming of the chosen one.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
But I'm really curious about what happens to those who stay faithful to God, what awaits them.
Well, Enoch paints a pretty vivid picture of the rewards of the righteous.
Okay.
He describes this paradise, a world where goodness reigns supreme, and where those who remain steadfast in their faith are finally rewarded for their perseverance.
So we touched on the Garden of Justice earlier, but what else does this paradise look like? Is it all harps and clouds?
Enoch describes a realm overflowing with peace, abundance, and eternal life.
Okay.
Imagine beautiful gardens where the righteous dwell, feasting on delicious foods and enjoying the company of angels.
That sounds pretty idyllic.
It does. But it's more than just material comforts.
Right.
Enoch emphasizes the profound spiritual fulfillment that awaits them. They experience this deep sense of peace, overwhelming joy, a constant communion with God, free from the burdens of sin, suffering, and the temptations of the material world.
So it's a state of complete wholeness, both physically and spiritually.
Exactly. It's almost like humanity is restored to its original intended state, back in harmony with the divine, that connection that was broken by sin.
And this vision of paradise, it's a pretty powerful motivator, isn't it?
I think so.
It gives people a reason to hold on to hope, to strive for righteousness, to persevere through hardship.
Right, knowing that a greater reward awaits them.
Now, Enoch doesn't just talk about these rewards in general terms.
Mhm.
He provides specific examples of individuals who've earned God's favor, right?
Yes, he highlights figures like Noah and Enoch himself.
Yeah, naturally.
Even the angels who stayed loyal during the Watchers' rebellion.
Right. They serve as role models demonstrating the virtues and actions that lead to divine blessing.
Exactly. Like Noah, who's praised for his righteousness, his unwavering faith, and his obedience to God's commands, even when facing impending judgment.
And then there's Enoch himself.
Chosen for his piety, his pursuit of knowledge, and his role as God's messenger. He's granted access to those heavenly realms, given visions of the future, and ultimately taken up to dwell with God.
It's like he gets a promotion to a higher spiritual plane.
You could say that.
Mm.
And even the angels who remain loyal are honored for their steadfastness and their role in upholding divine justice.
Right. They stand in stark contrast to those fallen angels who rebelled and now face eternal punishment.
Absolutely.
It really underscores the idea that we have free will, but our choices have consequences, whether we're human or angelic.
I agree.
But it brings up a question that's been on my mind this whole time. Is God's judgment purely about punishment? Or is there also a possibility of restoration or redemption?
That's a really big question, and honestly, you'll find different interpretations across Jewish and Christian traditions.
Okay.
Some emphasize the punitive side of divine justice,
Hmm.
focusing on the need for atonement for sin. But others see God's judgment as ultimately aimed at healing reconciliation and the restoration of those broken relationships.
So it's not a simple black and white issue.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And the Book of Enoch reflects this complexity. There are those vivid descriptions of punishment,
Right.
but there are also these hints at the possibility of redemption. Remember how Enoch even describes those fallen angels pleading for mercy and expressing remorse for their actions?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Even though their pleas are ultimately rejected, the fact that they're even allowed to express remorse suggests that maybe there's a glimmer of hope, even for those who've transgressed against God.
It really makes you think about the true nature of divine justice,
Yeah.
and whether it's solely about retribution or if it also encompasses a desire for reconciliation and restoration.
Well, we've explored a lot in this deep dive,
We have.
from the fall of angels to the hope of paradise.
It's been a fascinating journey.
But I have one final question that keeps coming back to me. Why do you think these ancient beliefs about angels, good and evil, the end of days, why do they still resonate with us today?
I think there are a few reasons.
Okay.
These stories address these universal anxieties about right and wrong, the meaning of life, our ultimate fate.
Right.
They offer a framework for understanding those big existential questions we all grapple with, whether we're religious or not.
Yeah, and there's also that undeniable allure of the mysterious and the supernatural.
Oh, absolutely. Angels and demons, they tap into our imaginations, our sense of wonder.
It reminds us that there might be more to reality than what we can see and touch.
Exactly. And let's not forget that these beliefs offer a sense of hope.
Oh,
That idea of good triumphing over evil justice, prevailing a better world waiting for us. That's incredibly powerful and motivating.
it gives us a reason to strive for righteousness, to fight for what's right, and to believe that our actions have real meaning and impact.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So, even though the Book of Enoch was written centuries ago, its themes, they continue to resonate with us today, tapping into our deepest longings, fears, and hopes for a better future. It's been an amazing deep dive, and honestly, I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this incredible text.
We have.
Yeah.
But hopefully this has given you a taste of the fascinating world of Enochian literature and inspired you to explore further on your own.
It really is a fascinating text, and who knows, maybe we'll revisit it in a future deep dive. There's certainly enough material here to keep us pondering for years to come. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Book of Enoch. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking those ideas that truly matter.